Prologue. Elaine negotiates for the Lion Throne, secures Dylan's support, and deals with tension from Mazrim Taim. Meanwhile, Rand returns to Carrion, feeling unwell and questioning his plans. Min joins him, teasing Rand about the heavy books she's carrying, but she notices his hidden illness. Rand opens a gateway, and they travel to a snowy clearing, 500 miles away from Carrion. There, Rand reveals his intention to cleanse the male half of the One Power. Min, unfazed, expresses concern over Rand's reliance on luck and encourages a more strategic approach before moving on. In Chapter 1, Elaine introduces a world recovering from turmoil, focusing on the city of Tanchico, recently subdued by Seanchan conquerors. The people, once plagued by anarchy, are cautiously adjusting to their new rulers. Perrin, wary of Masema, the self-proclaimed prophet of the Lord Dragon, is determined to bring him to Rand despite his madness. Masema's guards are intimidating, and Perrin's party navigates through the tense atmosphere of Abila where fear lingers. Meanwhile, Balwer delivers urgent news. The Amadishan army is defeated and King Alron is captured, leaving the region vulnerable to further Seanchan expansion. In Chapter 2, Perrin Ibera arrives at a deserted forest camp, learning from Baralan that his wife Fael has been captured by Aiel. Baralan advises caution in pursuing the Aiel without knowing Fael's fate. Despite his anguish, Perrin strives to maintain control, reassured by Elias that they will find her. As Perrin moves through the camp, he notices the activity surrounding the carts and attempts to manage his men's needs. Seeking clarity, he climbs a ridge to watch for Elias and the maidens tracking the Aiel. The chapter concludes with Perrin focused on rescuing Fael. In Chapter 3, Fael endures harsh conditions as she is marched through snowy woods by the Shido, bound and struggling against cold and fatigue. She hopes Perrin learns of her captivity, while witnessing other captured women resisting their captors. As she grows weaker, she falls into a stupor, but awakens vulnerable and still alive. Observing a large group of Aiel nearby, Fael realizes the Shado are more numerous than she thought, heightening her despair. A Gaishan explains their customs, igniting her anger, but Fael vows to escape and considers the potential advantage of their overwhelming numbers. In Chapter 4, Faeli encounters two Aiel women and a Gaishan named Galena in the snow. Aleandra, claiming to be the Queen of Galden, demands fair treatment, while Savannah's disdain for Gaishan reveals a power struggle. Galena, an Aes Sedai, heals Fael and her companions, but they soon find themselves subjugated, forced to wear collars and belts. Thurava informs them they will serve Savannah and must report her actions. Fael realizes the danger they face from both Thurava and Savannah. Galena reveals her importance and demands that Fael retrieve a rod from Therava's tent, threatening dire consequences if they fail. In Chapter 5, Perrin Ibera, desperate to find Fael, runs through a snowy landscape and is warned by Hopper to return to the waking world. He awakens in a tent tended by Baralan, who informs him that scouts have not returned and her men have suffered ambushes. Masema has arrived with a larger force than expected, raising concerns about his connection to the Seanchan. After interacting awkwardly with Baralan's attendants, Perrin heads to his own camp, where he finds his men in disarray, waiting anxiously for news about their missing comrades. He contemplates his next steps amid mounting tensions. In Chapter 6, The Scent of Madness, Perrin searches for Daniel and learns Masema's group is 3 miles away. He orders his men to prepare for danger and is concerned when Talonvor leaves alone. As Selanda and other women demand horses, Perrin reluctantly agrees, prioritizing finding Fael. Sulan reveals troubling news about Shido arrows and potential enemies. Perrin decides to head south to rescue Fael and instructs Nield to find Elias. When Masema arrives, Perrin informs him about the Aiel kidnapping Fael. Masema insists on joining him, stating it's the Light's work to kill Aiel, despite Perrin's doubts about Masema's followers. In Chapter 7, Elaine rides through Kemlin, asserting her identity as daughter heir, despite safety concerns due to Elida's sisters. She learns of an ambush on Nayan and Elenia's escorts, raising suspicions of a spy in the palace. Elaine refuses a bodyguard, believing visibility is essential for gaining public support. She contemplates the political ramifications of the abduction, fearing a civil conflict among the noble houses. After returning to the palace, she deals with the dynamics of her relationships, especially with Brigitte, and begins planning for the future while facing the challenges of leadership and potential threats to her authority. In Chapter 8, Elaine learns from Mistress Harfer about two spies who escaped the palace, suspecting Nain and Elenia's involvement. She faces a busy afternoon with Master Nori requesting an urgent audience and merchants seeking tax relief, compounded by worries over dwindling food supplies. While meeting with the kin, Nynaeve reveals two novices have identified the killer of an Aes Sedai. They discuss the urgency of dealing with the kin's status and their relationship with the Aes Sedai. Elaine shares news about the spies, and Nynaeve confirms that some kin have been sent away to avoid capture. In Chapter 9, A Cup of Tea, Elaine prepares for a meeting with merchants while learning from Halwyn Nori about new alum deposits on her estates, which could support her ambitions. He informs her of a proclamation recognizing Rand as the Dragon Reborn and warns of potential dangers. As Elaine contemplates her next steps regarding the Sun Throne, she realizes she has been poisoned with forkroot. Panic sets in as she orders Dylan to get help. An assassin enters and a struggle ensues, leading to Dylan's injury. Just as Elaine begins to fight back, darkness consumes her. In Chapter 10, Elaine wakes up with Avienda and Brigitte after an assassination attempt. Nynaeve informs her that Dylan is recovering. Despite Nynaeve's concerns, Elaine promotes Doylan Meller to captain as her bodyguard. She drinks wine cautiously after the forkroot incident and finds herself in a dreamlike state in the Grand Hall, contemplating her role as a potential queen. Egwene arrives, discussing the significance of oaths and the kinswomen, while the threat of spies looms. In the dream world, Elaine sees a mysterious man and decides to pursue him. In Chapter 11, Rand arrives at the royal palace with Min, seeking Mat and Nynaeve. Nynaeve is training Talon in shielding techniques but struggles, leading to her being shielded by Talon, who feels guilty. Zaida commands the Windfinders to form a circle, and after a tense moment, Nynaeve is released. Meanwhile, Rand, disguised as a stableman, informs Nynaeve he needs her to keep two Terangriel hidden for him. He reveals their potential to cleanse the male half of the source, but Lon warns it could endanger Nynaeve. Nynaeve insists they should all go together, despite the men's objections. In Chapter 12, Elaine, Min, and Avienda bond Rand as their warder, despite his initial resistance and his existing bond with Alana. After the bonding, they experience his pain and love. Brigitte, in a confrontation with Avienda and Min, expresses her anger at Elaine for bonding Rand without her knowledge and threatens to confront her. Avienda manages to calm Brigitte by offering usquai, and they leave to drink. The next morning, Elaine wakes to find Rand gone, but left a golden lily as a gift. Meanwhile, Nynaeve and Lan have disappeared, taking powerful Angreal with them. In Chapter 13, Katswani holds a tense meeting with Hareen and Dara of the Sea Folk, who demand the return of Shalon, but Katswani firmly rejects their claims. Varen and Sorlia inform her that several Aes Sedai, including Red Sisters, have sworn fealty to Rand, raising Katswani's suspicions. Corell reveals that Damer healed Ergen, who was stilled, leading to a major revelation. Meanwhile, Katswani learns that Lady Caroline and High Lord Darlin have escaped. The chapter ends with Alana collapsing mysteriously and Katswani rushing to her side, unsure of the cause but deeply concerned. In Chapter 14, Tuon reflects on her role during the Seanchan return as she sails aboard the Victory of Kidron. As Selucia prepares her, Tuon contemplates the balance she must maintain, recalling her decision to cane the Damana Lydia, which led to her feeling out of harmony. She shows compassion toward Lydia, issuing a healing order. On deck, Tuon discusses political matters with Anath, her Soefea, particularly the need to monitor High Lady Suroth's ambition and the importance of making the Dragon Reborn kneel before the Crystal Throne. They approach Ebudar, a key point in the Seanchan conquest. In Chapter 15, Mat meets with Eludra in her wagon, trying to convince her to share her knowledge of fireworks. Despite his charm, she refuses to give up the secrets of the Illuminators Guild. Mat informs her that the guild has been destroyed by the Seanchan, who enslaved the surviving members. Eludra, defiant, believes the guild survives as long as she lives. She challenges Mat to solve the puzzle of what use she could have for a Bellfounder. Frustrated but intrigued, Mat leaves, determined to return in a few days with an answer. In Chapter 16, Mat returns to Ebudar with Tom, Beslin, and Olver, navigating Seanchan-occupied streets. As the dice spin in his head, warning of danger, Mat searches for a place to stash gold, but finds no available rooms. While reflecting on his strained relationship with Queen Tylan, Mat encounters a golem in an alley. He narrowly escapes death by using his fox head medallion to wound the creature. A man named Noel Charon assists Matt, but the dice continue spinning, leaving Matt uneasy about the threat still to come. In Chapter 17, Matt and Noel navigate the streets of Abu Dar pursued by a golem. They enter the Tarasin Palace through a stable yard to avoid detection. Inside, Matt warns the Red Arms about the golem targeting him, but his companions refuse to leave. Matt struggles with Tylan's control over him, likening it to a Domaines Atom. He unexpectedly enters Tylan's apartments, where he encounters Tylan, Suroth, and a mysterious girl named Tuon. Tuon expresses displeasure at Matt's injuries and questions Tylan's authority. Tylan is offered a position within the Blood, but Matt reveals the golem's attack, emphasizing the danger he poses to others. In Chapter 18, Matt grows frustrated as the golem remains a threat, but his loyal companions refuse to abandon him. He continues his secret preparations to escape Abu Dar, hiding his belongings at the Wandering Woman Inn. Tensions rise as the Seanchan presence increases, and Matt becomes wary of Queen Tylan, who grows more possessive. Tuon, who had offered to buy Matt, unnerves him with her cryptic behavior. Despite these distractions, Matt focuses on Aludra, hoping to gain useful information. Meanwhile, Tylan's growing friendship with the Seanchan further complicates Matt's plans. In Chapter 19, Matt returns to the Wandering Woman Inn, navigating the heavy Seanchan presence. He hides gold in the kitchen and encounters Mistress Anan and Jolene, and Aes Sedai needing help to escape Abu Dar. A Seanchan officer interrupts, and Matt disguises Jolene by pretending to kiss her. After the danger passes, Matt hides Jolene in the cellar. Jolene reveals bitterness towards Teslin, who betrayed her. Matt later meets Teslin, who also seeks escape, along with another Aes Sedai at Asina. Matt faces the overwhelming task of rescuing 3 women and seeks help from Tom and Julin. In Chapter 20, Bethamin Asuldum inspects the domain at Tarasin Palace, while grappling with haunting memories of her past. After encountering a seeker for truth in her room, she is confronted about her inquiries regarding Aegean and Sarna, an old acquaintance from Falm. The seeker reveals that Aegeanin has been promoted and is being closely watched for her potential betrayal of the Empire. The seeker pressures Bethamin to renew her friendship with Aegeanin and spy on her. Bethamin is forced to comply, fearing for her life as she becomes entangled in dangerous political intrigue. In Chapter 21, Aegeanin wrestles with her uncertain future and her strained relationship with Bael Domin, who suggests they marry. Meanwhile, Bethamin reveals she's been ordered to spy on Aegeanin, proposing they eliminate the seeker responsible. Aegeanin, realizing the gravity of the conspiracy surrounding Soldam, who can channel, begins to take control of the situation. Bael, while loyal, refuses to accept his manumission without resources to support himself, insisting on staying. He suggests enlisting Matt Cawthon and Tom Maryland to aid them. Aegeanin resolves to stop the Seeker, whatever the cost, though doubt and fear continue to haunt her. In Chapter 22, Rand follows Manel Roched through the cold Amhara market in Far Madding, aiming to confront the renegade Ashaman. After tracking him through the streets, Rand confronts Roched in an alley, fatally injuring him just before Rayfar Kisman arrives. Rand escapes as guards close in. Meanwhile, Kisman experiences a sudden, mysterious injury, causing him to panic and flee. At the inn, Rand meets with Min, Nynaeve, and Olivia, explaining his encounter with Roched and Kisman and the need to leave quickly to avoid further danger. They prepare to pack and escape the inn before they are discovered. In Chapter 23, Shallan rides with Aes Sedai and their warders toward Far Madding. Kitswane informs them of their location in the hills of Kintara and directs Hareen to follow her attendant. Shallan grapples with her duty to spy on Hareen and observes the Aes Sedai's hierarchy, noting the oddities of their relationships. As they approach Far Madding, Serene reveals the city has Terangriel that prevent channeling within its borders, causing Shallan deep concern about her power. Upon arrival, they are met with soldiers who demand their names and weapons be peace-bonded, emphasizing the city's strict laws against carrying arms. In Chapter 24, Shallan and Serene arrive at the Hall of the Councils, where Kitswane demands proper accommodations from First Council Ales Barsala, highlighting rising tensions and political intricacies. As discussions unfold, Varen notes a recent instance of channeling, raising concerns about power dynamics in Far Madding. Shallan feels discomfort and fear, but resolves to control it. Hareen shows unexpected warmth, promising not to leave Shallan alone in her fear. They discuss the need to uncover Katswani's intentions while acknowledging the risks involved, leading Shallan to consider the possibility of confession regarding her secrets for the first time. In Chapter 25, Rand reflects on his relationships with Min, Elaine, Avienda, and Alana while in a luxurious room. Min expresses concern about Alana's imminent arrival. When Alana arrives with Katswani, she confronts Rand about his bond with Min, revealing her frustration. Rand lies about his feelings and tries to deflect Alana's questions. Meanwhile, Varen arrives at Alei's palace and finds Katswani, who is calm despite Elza's agitation about Rand's safety. Katswani explains that she must allow Rand to learn on his own, emphasizing the importance of him reconnecting with his humanity before the last battle. In Chapter 26, Elaine and Egwene explore a transformed Emond's Field in Tel'aran'rhiod, where Elaine notes its prosperity. Egwene struggles with her role as Amyrlin's seat and worries about troubling rumors surrounding Rand. After waking, Elaine feels the weight of her duties. She discusses strategic matters with her aides, including concerns over spies and resource shortages in Kemlin. Marilil returns from the Borderlanders, reporting that they number over 200,000, with at least 10 Aes Sedai among them. They want to meet Elaine soon. Determined to protect her unborn child, Elaine plans to respond immediately. In Chapter 27, Elaine resolves to confront the rulers of the Borderlands, disregarding Avienda's warnings. Marilil is dispatched to announce her arrival, while Elaine, Avienda, and Brigitte prepare to ride without a large escort. Upon reaching the Shienaran camp, Elaine meets the rulers, including Tenobia, who disapproves of her appearance. Elaine identifies herself as Aes Sedai and discusses the Dragon Reborn's whereabouts, noting their need for an army. The rulers agree to march south towards Kemlin. As night falls, Elaine learns from Halwyn Nori about 4 armies approaching Kemlin, prompting her to prepare the city for defense. In Chapter 28, Mat awakens to Tylan preparing to leave Ibudar with Sarath, fearing the consequences of their departure and the potential loss of Teslin, Jolene, and Edicina. Tylan's teasing complicates their relationship as they head to the docks, where Mat learns from Noel about a golem and a recent murder. Concerned about the rising tensions, Mat holds meetings with Julin and Tom to strategize their escape. Beslin proposes an uprising, but Mat warns against it, emphasizing the danger posed by the Seanchan. Time is running short, and Mat receives crucial news. Julian has secured dresses and an autumn, moving their plan forward. In Chapter 29, Mat, Jolene, Mistress Anan, and her warders, Fen and Blerick, are in a cramped basement. Tensions rise as Jolene resists the autumn Mat offers, fearing entrapment. Mistress Anan insists on joining the escape plan to free Damani Teslin and Edicina, but Mat worries about complications. When Jolene experiences intense agony from the autumn, Mat meets Bael Doman, who proposes hiring him for a ship's crew. Aegeanin reveals her involvement in Tanchico and the dangers from the Seekers, prompting Mat to offer help in exchange for 3 Suldam. They agree to leave the city soon, setting their escape in motion. In Chapter 30, Mat prepares for his escape from the city on a bleak, rainy day. Lopen and Narum finalize plans to take Ulver out through a hidden route, and Mat stresses the importance of their mission. Ulver, surprisingly unconcerned about leaving Rizal, is focused on his belongings and the games he wants to play with Mat. Meanwhile, Beslin insists on a grand gesture, but Mat prefers a simpler distraction by setting fires to divert the Seanchan. As night falls, Mat ensures he's ready, checks his weapons, and awaits Aegeanin and her companions for the escape, hoping all will go according to plan. In Chapter 31, Mat Cawthon secretly frees a sea folk woman, Nestel, and realizes he must hurry. He rushes to Teelan's apartments, where he learns Surath is returning urgently. Tylan refuses to leave, so Mat ties her up, but Tuon interrupts. Noal helps subdue Tuon, complicating Mat's escape. Aegeanin enters, horrified to see Tuon bound. Mat claims Tuon is his wife, shocking everyone. Selucia enters, warning him against violence and pledging to obey him as long as Tuon remains unharmed. Mat decides to take both Tuon and Aegeanin with him, prompting Tuon to smile cryptically. In Chapter 32, Rand visits the Golden Wheel Inn in Far Madding, hoping to gather information about a man linked to recent events. He overhears merchants discussing the siege of the Stone of Tear and the Seanchan camps. Varen and Aes Sedai informs Rand about Katswani's whereabouts and his intention to apologize to her. Nynaeve shares her discoveries about Terrangrail and expresses excitement about Katswani's abilities. Rand receives an anonymous letter warning him of the danger he poses, and instructing him to kill Torval and Gedwin, who are staying above a bootmaker. Hours remain before his meeting with Kitswani. In Chapter 33, Min warns Rand about the danger of their mission, but he believes he can handle it. Nineveh, Lan, and Olivia join them. Min decides to follow Rand and Lan after some initial resistance. They scout Blue Carp Street for the bootmaker Zaram, suspecting renegade Ashaman. Using Nineve's power, they ascend to the roof, finding 2 dead men in the shop, leading Rand to suspect Fane is behind it. Rand confronts Fane, but he escapes, and as Rand pursues him, he experiences pain from a wound. Lan helps Rand escape the building as guards approach. In Chapter 34, Nineve covertly observes an alley near the candlemaker's shop when chaos erupts as a large group of guardsmen rushes down the street. Concerned for Lan and Rand, she attempts to approach the scene but is forcibly pulled away by Kitswani and Olivia. Min expresses worry about Rand, who has been injured. Kitswani insists they must leave quickly to avoid trouble, reminding Nineve of the dangers of channeling and farmatting. Meanwhile, Rand awakens in a dark cell, disoriented and in pain, grappling with feelings of entrapment and guilt over those who have died because of him. Kitswani eventually confronts the councils in their chamber, revealing Rand's identity and asserting her authority to secure his release. In Chapter 35, Rand leaves farmatting, reflecting on Nynaeve's healing and preparing to use the Choden Kal to cleanse Sidon. He retrieves Kalandor near Shadar Logoth, while Nineve connects to the source for protection. Demandred approaches, intending to stop Rand. As Sindain and Moghedien observe the battle, Sindain attacks a mysterious woman, only to be countered. Rand struggles against the taint of Satan, and Kitswani monitors the situation, concerned for Rand and Nineve. The chapter ends with a massive black dome forming in the sky as the battle escalates, and Kitswani decides to leave after the warders return.